welcome back to episode 55 of Sooner Girl Sports Pod. And this week's guest is the amazing Nicole Mendes, aka Mindy, for us softball lovers. And I cannot wait for you guys to hear my conversation with her to talk about her time at OU and what she is up to now. And I hope that this episode is finding you warm and safe in your homes. It's been a rather interesting winter this past weekend here in Oklahoma and across the U.S. So I hope that you guys are all safe and warm as you're listening to this podcast. And I want to give a quick thank you to my show sponsors for this year. This show is sponsored by Marvin's Place, a fine art gallery and listening room located in the Depot District in Ardmore, Oklahoma. Come experience amazing artwork. And on Friday nights, visit the Listening Room, an intimate, unplugged venue unlike any other that you will find anywhere in the area. They host singer and songwriters on Friday evenings from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. You can relax with a glass of wine or craft beer and enjoy some wonderful music. And I can attest that if you are a music lover, if you enjoy the unplugged venue sound, you will have a great time at Marvin's Place. Also, I'm sponsored by Therapy to Go in Ardmore, the funnest place in town to drive through and get a drink. You won't even have to get out of your car. Stop by and see my friends Allison and Melissa and the rest of the girls there and tell them that Sooner Girl Sports Pod sent you for a special gift. They have a large variety of spirits as well as fountain drinks and snacks. Luckily, we have not had an injury report with Dr. Linen for a few weeks now, as we don't have a lot of injuries to talk about at all. With basketball, the diamond sports will be starting soon, so I'll be keeping an eye on those. Our stick sports have started, and so far everyone is doing well there. So no injuries to even report or mention, as I saw the basketball injury reports this past week for conference play, and they were completely clear, and that is amazing news as always. But shout out to Dr. Linen for being willing to give his time to come on the show and chat with us. One major headline for Oklahoma sports, in case you missed it this past week, we have announced our new athletic director with Joe Castiglione going out as of July 1st. Now remember, Josie will stay on staff for the next 2 years for special projects and some things, but this will go into effect February 15th. Our new AD, Roger Denny. He is previously at Illinois as the Deputy Athletic Director and COO. He has been officially named by the university. He has interviewed on campus twice, and they were attracted to him for his legal background and saw a skill set for the new era, which includes experience with collective bargaining, private equity, mergers, and acquisitions. His last 4 years, again, were spent at Illinois, including an oversight of their football program as a sports administrator. Along with bringing in Denny, OU is expected to keep Randall Stevenson as part of the athletic leadership team. Again, that will go into effect on February 15th. And as I'm recording this on Monday afternoon, I did see that they will be holding a special press conference this coming Wednesday, the 28th at noon, to officially announce Roger Denny, and then he will be meeting with the media afterward. Also, Roger Denny has been involved at Illinois, of course, since the beginning of the NIL era of college sports, so it's kind of comforting to know that he knows nothing else other than working with the NIL era. So he doesn't have any, quote, outdated thinking or traditions or anything like that to mentally uphold. He will be coming in with the fresh new mindset on the current state of athletics and really can't ask for anything more at this point. So I'm excited to see the direction that this goes with Roger Denny at the helm as AD at OU. Also, another announcement coming out of the football department, our longtime strength coach, Jerry Smith, A.K. Smitty, is moving into a new role as Chief of Staff. Assistant Strength Coach James Dobson is expected to replace Smitty as the head of strength and conditioning. Also, on the football front, the UFL, former Sooner Drake Stoops has signed with the Dallas Renegades, and they do start their schedule in late March into May. So if you're in the area and want to get out and support Drake Stoops, you can do so and head on down to Dallas and check out the Renegades. Also, shout out to Nick Benito of the Denver Broncos, former Sooner. He is Defensive Player of the Year finalist for the NFL. Also, on the Sooners front, wide receiver Avon Carrion, and Oklahoma agreed on his return to the Sooners in 2026. He is back on campus and with the team per sources. Another retention piece that Jim Nagy and Director of Retention Stacey Ford worked hard to get done, as he did go into the portal but he is now out and officially on campus and a part of the team. Also, On3 has 4 OU players ranked in the top 100 college football players for 2026. Definitely think there's some snubs here, but the 4 that are listed are number 20, David Stone, 47, Kip Lewis, 58, Taylor Wine, and 62, Isaiah Satega. Also, OU was ranked number 13 in the final poll of the 2025 season. We had our 2 ranked wins over number 9, Alabama, number 21, Michigan, a second 10-win season for Coach Venables, first CFP berth since 2019, and it is now time to look forward and look ahead to the fall of 26 and Team 132. Very excited for the roster. One big announcement coming out for our men's basketball team is they will be honoring the 2016 Final Four team and retiring Buddy Hield's number 24 jersey at the Texas A&M game on Saturday, February 21st. It is an evening tip-off at 7:30 p.m. So Isaiah Cousins, Jordan Woodard, Ryan Spangler, again, Buddy Hield, 16 Final Four team, just a special group of guys. So glad that they will be getting honored at that game and retiring Buddy Hield's jersey as it will now hang in the rafters at the LNC. Our men's hoop continue to struggle this past week as they played at South Carolina last week. They trailed at the half only by 3, but after the way the first 10 minutes went, it felt like it was a borderline miracle that we were only down by 1 score at the half. It was the biggest 20 minutes of OU season on deck as we came back out in the second half. Unfortunately, we did lose to South Carolina 85. So we just could not overcome that slow start in the first and second halves. We, at that point, dropped our 5th straight game. It just really, truly, at that point, was beginning to feel like rock bottom. For OU, everything just was bad, bad, bad. Nigel Pack was only 3 of 13, 0 of 7 for 3 points. Xavier Brown, he did have 22 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. But on to Missouri, where we played this past Saturday afternoon. Xavier Brown scored with 4.8 seconds left, and Mark Mitchell of Missouri hit a 3-point at the buzzer. If you were watching this game, you know exactly what I mean when I tell you I had 0 words for this. My jaw was on the floor. I don't think I could have slumped down any lower in the couch. I was truly in shock from this game. It was just truly brutal. I have to mention there are 2 Oklahoma kids with game daggers against Oklahoma that play on that Missouri team, Trent Pierce of Tulsa and T.O. Barrett. Again, lost that game at Missouri 88-87. Overtime final, sitting at 11-9, 1-6 in conference play. We do host Arkansas on Tuesday night. So as you're listening to this, it will have been the night before on Tuesday the 27th. And then next up after that is Texas at home this coming Saturday, the 31st. So it's looking like a rough road to bounce back, but I've got my fingers crossed for my guys that they can bounce back quickly. It just really does not feel good for the outlook with our team. It doesn't look good for Porter Moser. I think that everybody in that camp has to be looking ahead, thinking ahead of what might come from this, and it's just super unfortunate. I am a fan of Porter Moser. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a good coach. For some reason, he's just not a fit here at OU. It's just not getting done. And so I think it's time. And I think we will see that we will be moving on from that at some point in the next few months. But really have struggled for our guys. It's just so, so sad. I want to support them so bad. I will be there on Saturday to watch them against Texas. And I'm really, really hoping for a win. But on the bright side, our women who have also struggled in recent games in conference play. They bounced back last Thursday night against South Carolina at the Lloyd Noble Center. And let me tell you something, it was incredible. After having a previous number 16 ranking, we have moved up to number 10 in some polls, number 12 and others. After that win, just a dominant performance against South Carolina. Aaliyah Chavez took over. South Carolina couldn't do anything about it. Just a clutch performance by OU to take them down. A 3rd win in program history over a top 2 opponent. South Carolina had won 67 of their last 68 SEC regular season games and 32 of their last 33 SEC road games. So just another incredible win for the Sooners. 12-point win is tied for the 2nd largest overtime win against an AP top 2 team in the NCAA era. Holy smokes. Utah's 13-point win over number 2 UCLA exactly 2 years ago is the only one that is larger. Dawn Staley, she just said in the postgame, we found a team that wanted to win more. Definitely the best win of Jenny Baranczyk era. We improved to 18-2 under her in one possession games or overtime. So again, final over South Carolina last Thursday, 94-82. Chavez, 26 points, 8 assists, 11 points in regulation, and she was 4 of 14 in field goals. But in overtime is where she really took off with her 15 points and 5 of 5 on her threes. Reagan Beers, 18 points, 4 rebounds. Peyton Verhulst, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Sahara Williams, 12 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. And Zaya Van, 11 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. Also, shout out to Peyton Verhulst. She is the one name on the list of SEC players that are averaging 11 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, 3 assists per game. Just a huge accomplishment. Sunday, we hit the road and played in Auburn, Alabama. We had a great road win in that game, 72-65, as the Sooners now sit at 16-4, 4-3 in the SEC. Brooklyn Stewart had a career-high game with 12 points. Reagan Beers finished the game with 13 points and 6 rebounds, despite being in foul trouble in the second and fourth quarters. Junior forward Sahara Williams and senior center Reagan Beers led the Sooners for the OU defense, made up for its offensive struggles that struggled to generate points consistently, and that marked its 6th game with 75 points or fewer this season and just its 2nd win at that mark. Up next for our Sooners is Thursday the 29th against Texas A&M in Norman, and at Texas on Sunday, February 1st. Women's gymnastics moved up to the number 1 ranking this past week after a dominating win over Georgia in the LNC this past Friday. Shout out to Ella Murphy for being SEC Freshman of the Week last week. We did defeat number 5 Georgia on Friday as a score of 198-425 to 196-875. We posted our best performance of the season after we lost out on the floor to Missouri and LSU in the first 2 meets. OU faced Georgia that entered the meet ranked number 1 in the country on floor. But we rose to the occasion with our best performance again of the season on the floor. Highest ranked score in floor nationally so far this season. Freshman Camilla Pollock led the team with a 9.95, the highest score of her collegiate career. We did not have a gymnast score above a 9.875 on floor last week against Missouri, but we showed consistency against Georgia, and all 6 of our gymnasts on that event scored a 9.925 or higher. Sophomores Addison Fada and Lily Peterson competed on all 4 events for OU. Fada scored an all-around score of 39.75 and a 9.95 on both vault and beam. Peterson scored a 39.45 with the best 9.925 on floor. Freshman Mackenzie Eastep made a big impact also on vault, floor, and bars, and she scored a 5 or higher on all the events and led the meet with a 9.975 on vault in her home debut. Shout out to our gymnastic girls for a dominant performance, a dominant win, and now that number 1 ranking, and they will go on the road to Kentucky this coming Friday night, January 30th. Then they will be back at home on Friday, February the 6th. Our men's gymnastics team is also holding a number 1 ranking. Sasha Boganosio is the MPSF Freshman of the Week and CGA Rookie of the Week. We had a dominant win at Michigan on Saturday, won over 326.50. A trio of event winners, Fuzzy Bennis on the floor, Brendan Zapata Orth on the high bar, and Nathan Roman on the parallel bar. Next up for our men is their Sunday home opener this coming weekend on February the 1st. Also want to give a shout out to Jake Dalton and Yul Mulder, former Sooners, who it was just announced they will be inducted to the College Gymnastics Association Hall of Fame this coming spring. Also, baseball and softball lovers, it is almost time for the Diamond Sports. The Diamond Dinner for our baseball guys is this coming Friday, January 30th at 6:30 at the Sam Noble Museum. The guest speaker is former Sooner Cade Cavalli. Our guys are sitting at a number 19 preseason ranking with Baseball America. Single game tickets are on sale now, so make sure you get those. Also, our softball team sits at preseason number 2 and 3, depending on the poll. Our season is opening on February 5th in Arizona, and it was just announced to season ticket holders only, and this should become available to the general public soon. But the softball luncheon will be on February 20th in Oklahoma City, and so more information will come soon on social media about that for the general public. Our wrestling guys are holding strong in the polls as well, and their 2 home meets this coming weekend on Friday night, January 30th, and Saturday, the 31st. I'm planning to be there on the 31st after I watch our basketball game against Texas. So I would love to see you at one of those events. So give me a shout out if you are coming. But get out and support our wrestling guys. They are having a great season, and I can't wait to see them at home. 2 chances again this weekend, Friday night the 30th and Saturday the 3rd. Shout out to our men's tennis who had a great win this past weekend on the road out in California. They are holding steady with the number 17 ranking this past Friday 4-2 over number 15 Cali. That's 2 ranked wins in 1 week for our guys. They actually held the highest indoor attendance record for the men last weekend at home on the 16th, and then went on the road and beat Cali on Friday. However, unfortunately, they did lose in the final to UCF on Saturday 4-3. But next up for our guys is Tulsa on Wednesday, February 4th, and then they'll be back home in Norman on February 6th and 7th. Our women's tennis, number 6 ranking, and they hosted the ITA this past weekend in Norman, which the schedule did have to be altered a little bit because of the weather, but they punched their ticket to the ITA National Indoor Championship, which will be hosted by Illinois and Northwestern on February 6th through the 9th. They had a 4-1 victory over number 9 Stanford on Sunday. And next step for them for now is at Tulsa on January 1st. Track and field had their home meet this past Thursday, and I was so lucky to be able to attend that. The schedule was altered due to the weather, and I'm thankful that I was still able to go and get the VIP treatment. So shout out to Coach Thomas and his crew, his athletes, for giving me that special treatment there at the meet. I got to be down on the floor, talk to some of the athletes and coaches, and just hang out and get kind of a behind the scene look of my very first track meet ever, and I had an absolute blast. I posted some photos on social media, so you can go give those a look. But just a great time, witnessed a lot of records being broken and being made, and I just really had a lot of fun. Again, shout out to Eva Kubikova, who was on my podcast earlier in January. I got to hang out with her and watch her run. Also got to and see Maggie Mullings and her husband Ralford Mullings. Maggie, her maiden name is Bookout, so many Sooner fans will recognize that Bookout name. Her dad was a baseball player on the national championship team back in 1994, but Maggie and Ralford are both throwers. Ralford is an Olympian from Jamaica, so it was really cool to get to see them, so shout out to them. Their episode of the podcast will be out this spring. Also wanted to give a shout out to track and field junior Kennedy Stringfellow. He was named the men's NCAA D1 Athlete of the Week for his outstanding performance at the Owen Hewitt Invitational the weekend before. And also he was named your SEC Men's Field Athlete of the Week as well. For some more results from this past Thursday's event, the women's shot put an event win and a personal best that got us started with the day. Tylee Dodson finished first, Maggie Mulling second, and a personal best by freshman Allie Stevenson. Also in the women's long jump, Cassidy Watkins, Morgan Little, Ashley Lister, and all finished in the top 5 of the women's long jump, and a personal for freshman Brianna Rivers. Our men's long jump, Nicholas Chu, enters the OU top 10 list with his personal best leap of 7.67 meters. I was there and got to see him jump, and it was truly incredible to see. A women's triple jump. Sooners finished in the top 3. Number 1, Taylor Fingers, Zalea Dupree, and Jordan Hardy. Men's triple jump. Floyd Whitaker finished in the top 3. Men's mile. Ronald Negtich finished in first place there. And for the women's mile, the Sooners took the podium 1, 2, 3, Abby Montana Monk and Mary Van Dyke. The women's 800, Kel McDavid and Mia McGlade. Women's pole vault, Jacelyn Neighbors, Lily Samansky, and Tessani Foster. Men's pole vault, Hilton Green etched his name in OU history as number 2 with the personal best. Women's 400, another win and a personal best. Chloe Rodriguez first place. Jane Watkins finished third with a personal best for her. Women's 60-meter finals. Now, Eva Kubikova, I mentioned, she is running unattached in the indoor season due to redshirting, so her finish did not count. But number 1, Morgan Little, number 3, Jordan Atkinson, number 4, Cassidy Watkins for the Sooners. And the women's 60-meter finals, Chloe earned her second win of the night in the hurdles final. Women's weight throw, top 3 girls, Kennedy Clark, number 1, Chesney Scott, 2, and Tylee Dodson, 3. Men's weight throw, Brendan C. improved his mark at number 2 in OU history with a throw of 21.20 meters. And men's high jump, Tyson Ritz moved his name to number 4 all time in OU history, number 6 in the nation, and number 5 in the SEC. Men's 800, Ahmed Kadri finished first and Hayden Gray second. And again, we had 4 guys finished in the top 10 in school history, and that was Hilton Green with the pole vault, Tyson Ritz with the high jump, Nicholas Chu with the long jump, and Brendan C. with the weight throw. Next up for our track crew is the Invitational in Manhattan, Kansas, this coming weekend, January 30th and 31st, and then they will be back home for the Oklahoma Classic on February 6th. For my Sooner MVP for the week, I'm going to give a shout out to all the track and field kids, all the ones I just mentioned, breaking those records, setting their PRs. I got to hang out with them at the track meet on Thursday. It was just a super fun experience. So I want to give them a shout out again for that, but I can't let the week go by again without reiterating Alaya Chavez and all that she did in that win over number 2 South Carolina at the Lloyd Noble last Thursday night. She was just on fire, incredible in overtime. We could not have done it without her. Okay, to end this segment with the Sooner Fun Fact of the week. Aaron Mansfield was hired as the OU volleyball head coach in December of 2022. Prior to coming to Norman, he spent 6 seasons as the head coach at Loyola Marymount, as taking the team to the NCAA tournament. Okay, I want to give a few reminders and announcements before heading on to my interview with Nicole. And my 1-year celebration of Sooner Girls Sports Pod is coming up next week on Thursday, February the 5th at Coach's Corner in Norman from 6 to 8 p.m. I would love to have you come out and join us. You can find more information and RSVP to that event on the pinned post at the top of the Sooner Girls Sports Pod Facebook page. And again, I just want to thank everyone for their support and for sharing the podcast. I would not be here without you. If you don't give me a follow on social media, please go and do so. I'm at SoonerGirlPod on all socials. Also, you can check out your merch, SoonerGirl.BigCartel.com, and be sure and sign up for the newsletter called The Playbook. The January edition is coming out at the end of this week, so you won't want to miss it. You can get it sent to your inbox for free. Ladies, join my locker room. We have an online huddle that we do once a month. I do giveaways, get a discount on the merch. We have a text group that's a lot of fun. You can learn about all of these things, all of this information, even the party is my link in bio, my link tree. And it's, again, at the top of my bio on all social media at Sooner Girl Pod. So I hope that you'll go and check it out. And also advertising and sponsorship opportunities available as well. If you have any questions about anything, you can shoot me an email at SoonerGirlSportsPod@gmail.com. Also, if you can't make it to the party in person, but you want to sign the guest book, you can shoot me an email again to that same email address. It is also available on my link tree as well. So thank you all for listening this week. We will move on to my interview with Nicole Mendes. And Nicole is a 2-time NCAA National Champion, Olympian, and current professional softball athlete whose impact extends beyond the competition. After a standout career at OU, she moved into professional play while becoming a respected national voice across both baseball and softball broadcasting as an analyst, play-by-play, and reporter for ESPN, Fox, and additional platforms. Mendes is known for her energy, insight, and ability to translate the game for audiences in a way that is both educational and accessible. Today, she is the founder of Growin', a mindset and mental performance company designed to help athletes develop confidence, clarity, and resilience. Mendes hosts the Diamond in the South SEC softball podcast, and she creates educational, lifestyle, and behind-the-scenes content across social media. Through her professional playing career, broadcasting work in baseball and softball, and her leadership in athletic development, she continues to elevate the sports with a genuine, athletic-centered, and purpose-driven approach. Mindy has always been one of my favorites. One of my favorite places to sit in the stadium is out in right field. So she was in my line of sight. Just always one of my favorite players. Sweet girl. I could not be more honored to host her on my show. So shout out again. Thank you, Nicole Mendes, for joining me for the show. You can find her on X and on Instagram and also on LinkedIn. I will link that in the show notes, and I will be tagging her on social media this week with all of the content as well. So I hope you all enjoy my interview with the amazing Nicole Mendes, and I will see you all next Wednesday where we talk sports. Oh, I do thank you for giving me part of your day. I appreciate it a lot. So you were always one of my favorite Sooners. My favorite place to sit. Well, now I like to be in the shade, but used to it was in right field.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would always watch you and be behind you in right field. I loved your time at OU. So let's just start off and you tell me a little bit about some of your favorite memories and just from your time at OU and some things that maybe stand out to you.
Yeah, gosh, there's so many.
I'd imagine.
I think one of my first favorite memories at OU is the fall of my freshman year, and I am doing the triathlon. And I'm so nervous. I'm about to pee my pants. Everyone's freaking out. And during it, it was awful. It was horrible. And I got lost because I didn't know campus yet. And so I
Oh
actually
no.
ran extra
Oh my
before I got
gosh.
back to the field. But the feeling of the team afterwards, and we were all so relieved and happy and glad it was over and we trauma bonded. But that was the first time I felt like, man, like I'm so connected and so close with all these girls. So that was like one of my first favorite memories. Obviously, end of my freshman year, whenever we won a World Series, just being on base whenever Shea hit that go-ahead home run. And
Yes.
it was like the third time we had gone ahead, the end of the
Yes.
17 innings. And I just knew, I was like, after she hit that one, I was like, we won. Like, they can't come back from this. We absolutely won. That was just like such a surreal feeling. I think whenever Jossie and I became roommates, I loved that. That was, still is one of my best friends to this day.
Awesome.
So I just enjoy her so much. Softball wise, I think my junior year, it was not how we wanted to end, getting second, but I think that was one of the most fun, joyous present years that I've had. And I talk to girls from that year and they say the same thing of like, it was just so present. It was joyful and we were just out playing and having fun.
I love that. I love that. Well, speaking of Jossie, real quick, I saw on social media the whole AU softball league is changing this coming summer, and so she's going to quote be up for grabs in the draft coming up. And I have all kinds of feelings about that, so I'm definitely hoping she stays with the Oklahoma team.
Yeah, I know that's definitely going to be an exciting thing where she's landing. I have been talking to her.
Yes.
I'm like, what do you think? What's going
My
on? All this stuff.
gosh.
And so many friends in the league. So I'm really pumped for the draft that's coming up this week.
Yes, me too. Me too. So I don't know. Do you have a lot to do with AU or anything? I know you played.
I did.
Okay. Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I couldn't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah. I played for AU for 3 years and it
Okay.
was amazing. I loved it. I love that league so much. I think they're
Okay.
fantastic.
Awesome.
I played with another league because I wanted the experience of being on the same team
Yes.
for a whole season. And that was like the only thing that was missing from AU. So for them to transfer into a full-time team league, I think is
Yes.
incredible.
Yes.
And I just think that it's a step in the right direction. I mean, softball now having 16 is
I
huge.
agree. Yes.
And it's just going to continue to grow. They have the support, they have the media, they have the
Yes.
investment, and they have the talent. So I think it's
Yes.
great.
Yes, I'm so excited. I obviously have followed the Spark since day one. And so I'm excited that they've made that leap. And like you said, they have a lot of support. So it's going to be exciting for sure. So, well,
Yeah.
can't wait to see where those Oklahoma girls land. I'm sure that more of them will be available in the draft. So I'm excited to see where all that goes. Okay. So tell me a little bit, because I know you are an Olympian as well. And that is awesome. A national champion and an Olympian is just incredible. So tell me a little bit about what it was like to represent Mexico in the Olympics and just a little bit about that experience.
Yeah. So my mom's side of the family is from Mexico. And just, I started playing with them whenever I was my sophomore year of college. And the women that were on the team still to this day are some of my best friends. I think I've talked to 5 of them in the last couple of days. They're amazing. You know, we all keep in touch. So we
Yes.
definitely just bonded right away. And it was so fun because like Oklahoma is such a powerhouse.
Yes.
At that time, Mexico, we had to be scrappy and we weren't the powerhouse. We had to fight and claw and earn every win. And I love that feeling. And so that was
Yes.
so much fun getting to experience that. But also, I got to learn a lot about my heritage. I started
Yeah.
asking questions on my mom's side of the family about, well, where did we live? What was it like? Do y'all know any stories? Like, tell me about my family. And I feel like I learned a lot about my heritage. So by the time the Olympics came around and I got to represent Mexico, I just felt so proud to represent like where I came from.
That's
And that
cool.
was my favorite feeling was the very first game. We're standing on the sides and they start playing the Mexican national anthem. And I just like felt so proud that we did it. That was the first time Mexico had ever qualified for the Olympics.
Awesome.
And we won. And it was amazing because that was also like your first game, your first win. It's the Olympics. It's something I dreamed about since I was 8. So yeah, it was incredible.
That is really cool. Okay, so tell me too how you got into what you're doing now, because you are such a busy girl doing your broadcasting and all the things. So tell me a little bit about how you got into that and maybe some of your favorite things about being able to do that and come back to Oklahoma from time to time.
Yeah, I actually both of what I do now. So I'm a broadcaster and I also own a mental wellness company.
Yes.
Both of those originated at OU. Both of them were unplanned. And it just kind of happened. And it was honestly such a blessing. So I was in grad school. 2020 was supposed to be my senior year. COVID happened. So I went ahead and started grad school in 21 to finish up my eligibility. But I had a year left and I was like, I don't want to take a break because I know I won't come back. So I got to finish off this master's program now. So I stayed on and I was a GA for the athletic department. And during that year, Chris Blank, the radio guy for OU, who is incredible, reached out and he said, "Hey, Mindy, would you like to call some radio games?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds so much fun." And I just remember being so nervous.
I bet.
Between the breaks, I was like, "Chris, how'd I do? How am I doing?" And he's like, "You're doing great. You're doing great." And he was just so encouraging. And it's so easy to talk to him and everything just flows so naturally. Like he is definitely one of the best play-by-plays
I agree.
that I know.
Yes.
Radio or TV. He's incredible.
Yes,
and
I agree.
It was just such a joy to work with him. And that really sparked a joy that I was like, wait, I really like this. So Amanda Scarborough was my pitching coach growing up.
Oh, yeah.
So I called her and I said, "Hey, Amanda, I know you call a lot of softball games. I called some games for OU. I really like it. What the heck do I have to do to be able to do this full time?" And she was fantastic. She gave me a ton of advice.
That's awesome.
And later that year, I got a call from ESPN. Apparently, Amanda had put in a word with them and they were looking for announcers. And they stumbled upon me. And they called and they said, "Hey, would you like to call a regional?" And I said, "Yes, please."
Oh my gosh.
So I got to call UCF's first ever regional.
Okay.
And it was incredible. And I've been calling games ever since and more every year. And
I love that.
The biggest thing that she said was you have to bust your butt. You have to do things and call games that no one's willing to do. You have to be innovative. You have to do your research. You have to know what you're talking about because you're appealing to the audience that doesn't know anything about softball, but also the audience that does. And the ones that do, they know whenever you don't know your stuff. And you can't make it all about yourself. And I think she does such a good job and she researches so well. So I've definitely tried to model after Amanda. But also at that same time, I was giving lessons while I was in grad school. And I had some parents reach out and say, "Hey, would you come and talk to our team?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." So I go and I talk to the team and I do that for a couple different girls. And towards the end of that grad school year, I talked to one of my lessons teams and the dad goes, "Hey, how much do I owe you?" And I go, "Wait, you can get paid for this?" And I was like, I love this. And I love just talking with the girls about the mental side of the game and talking with them about who they are as a person is completely separate from who they are as an athlete. There's correlations, but they do not determine, one does not determine the other. The person determines the athlete does not determine the person. And so that really just sparked a joy because my freshman year, I was eyes wide open, knees knocking together, so nervous, so scared coming onto this national championship team. And I had so much to learn. And I mean, I got to learn from the best players, coaches, staff, all of it. And then throughout my 5 years at OU. So I think that being able to give back to girls who are in college now, girls who are in high school, just people who are high achievers, high motivated, high potential. That is my favorite thing. So that's what I do now also. So I work with sports teams. I also work with companies that are in sports and high potential achievers.
I love that. Okay, so what's the name of your company?
So I do broadcasting with ESPN and Fox, and Flow Softball a little bit, and then colleges all around the U.S. And then for my mental wellness company, it's called Growin'.
Okay.
because we're always growing. So,
That I love that. I love that.
yeah.
Well, just you getting to be a part of softball as it is progressing and growing over the years, because thinking about back to 2017 to now, nearly a decade, and in that time alone, softball has come a long way. On the
So much.
collegiate level and the professional level and beyond. And so for you to get to be a part of that on the radio, I think is incredible. And then for you to go a little deeper, like you said, there's so much more involved in being an athlete than just the physical aspects of it. So for you to have that desire to want to help develop young women across the board is truly incredible. So I think that's super cool that you're doing that. And I know that your faith is very important to you as well. And I know that you obviously know Sarah Roberts. I actually had her on the podcast back in the summer. I love Sarah. I love what she does. It's obviously very important and impactful, but I know she probably played also an impact in your development. So tell me a little bit about your faith and why it's important to you and how you think it's impacted you as a player and how it's even still impacting you now as you continue to grow the next generation in softball.
I mean, it's a bedrock.
Mm-hmm.
One, it is the one thing that is always consistent. It never changes. The Lord is just here when
Thank
I
goodness.
am here.
Yes.
And life
Thank
is
goodness.
going like this, and we're
Yes.
meeting in the middle, and God's right here.
Yes.
I think that has been the biggest thing that I have learned from whenever I was younger, all the way to even now. I was just having a conversation with somebody and just learning how to run to Him.
Yes.
Prayer for the past several months has been memory, and is remembering who the Lord is. He's the one who created the heavens and the earth. He created sports. He created emotions. He created the mountains, the rivers, the valleys. And then remembering all the times that I have struggled or I have had blessings, and He has been there side by side through every single thing. And even whenever things were just like, He has been there. Remembering that what He has done for me, I'm called to help others to come and see Him. And so I think that's like the biggest thing, if I had to sum up my faith, is remembering who He is and remembering how to serve Him well.
Absolutely.
And I think whenever it translates to sports, it's so easy to get caught up as an athlete. Your mind is always geared towards, how can I reach the next level? How can I get better? What can I do work-wise? Where is that edge where I can get a little bit more? And then also, especially in softball and baseball specifically, but in any sport, there are specific measurables that you need to achieve. You're a gymnast. I got to get the 10.
Right.
If I get a 9, that's not a 10. I know where I'm at. And there's gauge points, which work great for sports, but that's not how life is. And I think whenever you go into that elite athlete, or if you're competitive just in the everyday world, it can be so easy to get caught up in those markers of success. And you can feel like you place a lot of value and a lot of weight in those, whenever sometimes that's not a true indicator of what's going on. And I think that it is so comforting to know that no matter what you do, no matter how successful, quote unquote, or unsuccessful you are, He's still there. And He's still steady. And He still loves you. And He can't love you more, and He can't love you less. And your peace and your joy can be found in that. And whenever you do, He is so good. And all throughout the Bible, it talks about like being present and not looking forward, but not looking at what's behind, but being present. Whenever you really live like that, your whole life changes. But as an athlete, it is so hard to be present in the moment. You think of the duration of a game or a tournament or a match, and they get so long. And to be that focused and that intentional for that long is very difficult. And athletes train their whole careers just to be able to do that. And meanwhile, like, I've been practicing that my whole life with my faith. And so it's so cool to see how so many of the things that the Lord teaches you in the Bible, it translates to every aspect of your life. And if you're doing it for Him, it will translate into every aspect of the life. So I think it's incredible.
So true. I agree. I love that so much. Well, that just made me think about, transitioning from being, quote, a full-time athlete to the quote real world has got to take a toll on you as a person, because like you said, you've trained your whole life to play at OU, to be in the Olympics, to be a pro, to do all these things, even to be on the radio, which you do now. But transitioning from being a full-time student and playing on a team that you've been a part of your whole life, even in the pros, it's not the same. So transitioning from that to adulthood, what is that like? Or like, do you have any advice or thoughts on how does it affect a person mentally? And what's maybe some tips you have on how they can move to that next chapter of their life, whether it involves softball, like in your instance, or whether it's outside of sports completely?
Yeah, I think the biggest shock that I was unprepared for was how quickly you go from this community. And whether you're in college and you don't play sports, or you're in college and you do play sports, you have a community. But whenever you play sports, you're with those men or you're with those women day in and day out every single day for a lot of your college career. And then all of a sudden one day you don't wake up at 6 a.m. and you don't go to weights and you don't get to see them at practice. And it's not like I go from 5 days a week to 4 to 3, then to 2, and then I phase out. It's cold turkey.
Cold turkey.
As soon as that last game is played, you're done. And that transition was a shock. And it was the community that I missed the most. I love softball. I could play it all the time. But what I truly, truly was missing was that community, was that like-mindedness from all those people who were there with higher intention, higher purpose beyond just themselves. It was a desire and a love for how do we get better every day? Like, whether it's in softball, whether it's in our faith, whether it's in how we treat others, whether it's in school or career, whatever, but how do we get better every day? And being surrounded from that, I don't know why. In my head, I was like, in college, we're all college athletes, like we're all college kids. And I knew OU softball was very special. In my head, once we graduate, everyone just grows up and everyone acts like OU softball. And that was also a starting reality for me. I should have known, but I don't know. I just thought, well, now we're all grown-ups. We're all going to act this way. We're all going to learn this way. We're all going to be at this higher level, this intention of I'm going to do everything to the best of my ability. And that was a bit of a reality check as well, of like, you're not disciplined. You don't have time management. And I'm having to deal with people that don't have that. And that was really hard for me to transition with, after being surrounded with people, not just on my team, but within OU athletics.
That makes sense.
That were that way. So that was a very unexpected surprise that I had.
Okay.
Which is also another reason why I was so inspired to start growing, was to be able to help people start to ask those questions for themselves, to get them to understand, oh, wait, I can do more. I do have a higher potential. I can reach for this. My standard is going to be higher. I don't negotiate. I keep it high. And to see the change in the athletes that I've worked with, to see their mindset shift has been incredible. And so I get so much joy out of that. So
I love that.
Yeah. But I think a word of advice that I would give to people is, I know you're busy and summers are like the treasure time where you can finally get off. Try and find an internship in corporate America. Whether you work in corporate America or not, you just learn so much value in that.
So true.
Highly recommend getting involved with a club that has nothing to do with athletics, because the people that you meet in college, those are your connections. And you're always going to have that bond whenever you say, oh yeah, I played athletics in college. People automatically gravitate towards that. But if you have something else, if you have some other connection, something linking you to somewhere, it benefits you so greatly. So stepping outside of the athletic realm when it is so tempting to stay in and you're so busy, and you don't feel like it, doing that. And then the last thing is learning. It sounds so silly, but learning how to be okay on your own. Because most people, whenever you graduate college, and I think this goes for anybody, you don't stay in your college town. You move away for a job, or you do, but everyone else leaves and you're kind of by yourself. So you have to make
Yep, that's so true. Definitely good reminders. So, okay, before I let you go, I do want to talk a little softball. And what are your thoughts for this upcoming season for this team? I know I attended a couple of fall games and I've watched when I can and followed the girls. And there's been a lot of great things going on. There's a lot of freshmen that have come in. And I'm very excited for the season. And I know everybody said Patty just reloads, and it appears that's what she's done. So, what are some players maybe that stick out to you for the upcoming season, or anything that stuck out to you from the fall that you've seen, and some of your thoughts on what's coming up for the spring?
Yeah, I'm very, very hot on Gabby Garcia. I think she's
Oh my gosh,
incredible,
yes.
phenomenal.
Yes.
Her
Yes.
IQ and just meeting her freshman year before she even played a game, you could tell there was mentally an advancement that you don't typically see. And you saw
Wow.
that on the field from her last
Okay,
year.
yeah,
And
for
so
sure.
whenever you go through that, you experience World Series, you have to fight, you have to claw, you have to be tough. It only makes you better. I am expecting big, big things out of her. I expect her to be a leader, honestly. I think she's going to
Yeah.
step up big time for OU.
Yeah.
I really think Cassie Pickering, Ella Parker, Nellie,
Yes.
those three, they're really going to be the helm. They're now upperclassmen.
Yes.
It's hard
Crazy.
to lead a team as a sophomore. That's hard.
sure.
And I
I
think
bet
back to
so.
my freshman year, and we had Kaylee Clifton, we had Shay Knighton, and we had Sydney
Okay.
Monroe. And they were
Wow.
sophomores. And I think of how hard it was for them. And there was a lot of growing pains involved, but how much better that made them as athletes their junior and senior years. I mean, clutch,
sure.
clutch, all of them so
Yes.
clutch. And I think that's what you're going to see from those three this year. They've gone through that growing pain process, not just of, I had a lot of success. How do I handle that? But also,
Yes.
I'm leading a team.
Yes.
How do I handle that? So I
Yes.
expect those three to do really well. Kendall Wells,
Yes.
huge fan.
Me
Huge
too.
fan.
Me too.
I worked with Softball America. Eric Henry lives out in Atlanta. Went to visit her. I got to hit with Lincoln, and he's incredible. His
love it.
swing philosophy and the way that he does lessons is amazing. Highly, highly
So
recommend if you ever get the opportunity to work with him, go work with him. He's incredible. But one of his lessons was Kendall Wells. And he said, I have this girl. She's thinking about going to OU. You guys should meet. And so I was hitting and he brought her and we hit together and we were just chatting and talking.
Oh, that's
and I
so
just
cool.
thought she was incredible. So I
Yeah.
got extremely joyful whenever I heard that she committed to OU and just seeing her progression throughout the fall. And I actually went back this fall for the triathlon. So a lot
Cool.
of the alum, they go back and we're the counters for
Okay.
the athletes. And so I actually got assigned Kendall. So it was really cool just getting to see her go through all the things that I went through. And it's hard and you're devastated and you're crying during the middle of it. But afterwards, you're like, I can do it. I can do hard things. And I think that as a freshman who has so much talent, there's two things that are missing. And it's, I can do hard things and I can do them well. And then it's not being rattled by the loud and staying within
Yes.
yourself. It's so easy whenever you've never been exposed to that to go, whoa, this
Yes.
feels really overwhelming and get lost out of the
Yes.
moment. So I'm really, really excited to see how she grows in those two areas. But
Yes.
she is absolutely incredibly talented. And then Berzon, I mean, she's
my
phenomenal.
gosh.
She is an
She really
amazing
is.
pitcher. The way that she understands the game, the way that she works at it, I'm so excited to see what her and Jen Rocha do together. Because
Yes.
Jen Rocha, those are two styles that go alongside each other really well. No. You see Jen Rocha really excel. I think of like somebody like Kelly Maxwell, who
Yes.
is very analytical and she knows what she wants. She's a pitcher, she's not a thrower. And there can be really, really good throwers. But being a pitcher, I think that's where Jen Rocha thrives because she's able to work
Yes.
in conjunction with her battery. So I think Berzon is going to be a huge, huge add.
Yes. I loved watching her this fall. When, of course, I recognized her name. And so when she announced she was coming to OU from the portal, I got really excited. And obviously, there's Miley Gacchino as well. I think she has a lot of potential too. Just like you said, I feel like there's so much that encompasses being a pitcher. And like you said, Jen Rocha always seems to take those really talented girls and take them to the next level. And so it's very exciting. And I love the Zake sisters. I
Yes.
actually interviewed Riley just to talk about her her hearing loss and how that affects her physically and mentally with the game. And so that was a really cool conversation. But watching her sister come in and now join the team, and I think she has a lot of potential in the circle as well.
Yes.
And, you know, it's crazy. I feel like the players that we knew for years, like yourself even, and then, of course, Jada, Kinsey, Riley, all of those that were there for so long, I felt like once they're gone, how do we know how to define Oklahoma softball? Because that's all we've known for what seemed like so long. And now we have names that they're not replacing those girls. Those girls will, like even yourself, like you guys will never be replaced. You have your own pair of shoes, so to speak. Nobody will fill your shoes. But there's so many names and players that have come in that are making their own mark, their new mark, and just taking the program and running with it. And it's super exciting. So I'm ready. I'm always ready for softball.
Yeah, that's one thing Coach Gasso always talks about is, can you step on the shoulders of the ones who came before you? And she talked a lot in 2017 about the 2000 team. And then we just go from there.
Absolutely.
And she goes, learn from them, grow from them, but you cannot replace them, but you have to create something and make it your own. If the team is not your own, if you're trying to live in the shadow, if you're trying to reach an expectation of another team, another group, you're always going to fall short because that's not you. And so I think she does such a great job of really helping shape a team into becoming who they are for that season.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I talked to Kelly Bright last spring as well during softball, and she is awesome. Speaking of that 2000 championship team. And then I've also spoke with Julie Dobbs, Julie Burbank now. She was from the 90s. And I love talking to those girls from, quote, so long ago, and hearing how they laid the foundation, so to speak. And the program has just continued to build. And so it's just really cool. Like you said, each team come in and be unique and be themselves and leave their own mark on the sport and the university. And so it's definitely exciting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you have any closing thoughts? Anything else you want to share before I let you go?
I just think I'm so excited to watch OU softball this year. I look back to last year and the expectations and how far above and beyond they exceeded not just everyone else's, but their own.
Absolutely.
And whenever you have a team, majority of them coming back that can do that, I think you're in great shape, especially with the additions that they've made. I think they're in great shape for this upcoming year.
I agree. I'm ready. They're going back to the Mary Nutter, so that's always exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, and then they'll host the Okana tournament at the end of February. Hopefully we have better weather this time. But yeah, it's gonna be a great season for sure. I'm excited. So well, thank you again so much for joining me.